Just last Sunday, I was in Jericho, because just as in the days of Jesus, also today, Jericho, as one of the oldest continually inhabited cities in our world, is the primary oasis in the Judean desert. And so it's a must stop for travelers on their way to or from Jerusalem. A stop to refuel themselves, their donkeys, their camels, nowadays their cars and trucks. So Jericho is always a place of bustling activity, and we get that same sense from St. Mark's account of Jesus passing through this already, in his day, ancient city. There were crowds, but not necessarily because Jesus was there. There are always crowds in Jericho. But since Jesus was there, and it had become known, Jesus was someone whom people were seeking to know something more about. His reputation as a teacher and a healer in the Galilee region, some 80 miles north of there, had certainly preceded him. Bartimaeus is in his usual place, a corner you can still pass today, where the main road in town intersects with the one going up toward Jerusalem. Why Mark names this blind man and goes on to state the obvious, that he is as Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, is now lost to us. But we might assume that Mark felt his original hearers would be both familiar with this man or perhaps with his children, because they played a prominent role among the early disciples of Jesus after his resurrection. But as a disabled person in those days, Bartimaeus is forced to beg. People assume that his blindness must be a curse from God because of some sin that he committed or that his family committed. That is why they try to hush Bartimaeus up when he calls out to Jesus, because to the citizens of Jericho, people like this blind man are just a nuisance, a public embarrassment, especially when someone prominent is passing through town. They hope that someone like Bartimaeus and anyone who's destined to are simply not seen or not heard. But their attempts to silence him reveal that the townspeople really don't know or understand Jesus. They have heard he's a wonder worker and they're curious, but they really don't recognize his true identity. And there's the irony in the story, because Bartimaeus does recognize Jesus even though he can't see, because he calls him Son of David, a title that would indicate that this blind man knows what others don't, that in this powerful teacher and amazing healer from Nazareth is the long-awaited Messiah. Jesus recognizes Bartimaeus as someone whom, although his eyes may be in need of healing, is one who already sees with an all-important inner vision born of faith. So when Bartimaeus asks that his physical blindness be removed, his request is readily granted. And what's Bartimaeus' response? But to become a disciple. As we hear, he got up and followed Jesus up the road, which suggests to Jerusalem, where the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus will reveal to many more what Bartimaeus already knows. Jesus is the one God has anointed as the Savior. The Bartimaeus story reminds us that without faith, and specifically faith in Jesus Christ, we can't really see well, even if our vision tests out at 20/20. Indeed, we can't see all of creation and our place in it rightly, nor understand our own purpose or that of other people clearly. Without the vision of faith, we are stuck in one place and cannot know the way that must be followed. Without seeing Jesus and recognizing his teachings as ultimate authority, we would remain blind to what is truly right and good and unable to recognize what is wrong, and so be powerless not to risk falling into serious error in thought, word, or action. Thus, it is rather easy to understand that the inner vision of many in our world today seems badly out of focus. Again, just watch the news or read the daily paper if you dare, or look around at the choices even though some of those whom we know and love best are making. Indeed, the prevalence of spiritual blindness, even in a largely sighted world, is a reality we must face, and the possibility of falling into it by falling out of faith is an ever-present danger. And so, today, indeed every day, our prayer, our plea to Jesus as Messiah, as Son of David, as Son of God, must be exactly that of Bartimaeus. Lord, I want to see. And in seeing, our only choice is to forsake every other path and follow Jesus in his way.